Welcome to Flivluv, friends. Today, we are here to discuss the beautiful ideologies of the world with Flivluv. As always, when we are here today to gather and discuss about these ideologies and principles, we all remember that they come from this idea of Flivluv. The main idea, the main philosophy being Flivluv. You know, like the beliefs in the beautiful ideologies we've created, like as humans, like compassion, empathy, love, patience, hardworking, and all the things that we look forward to in Flivluv. We know that Flivluv is the base of all these philosophies and ideas. And we use that to combat evil. And we use it for good. And we use it for all these things. Knowing that we can use Flivluv to our advantage and to our best advantage, to our best principles. We could use Flivluv in our everyday lives. It doesn't have to be just me, you know. We can all use Flivluv. And from back in the day, since I can remember, not too long ago back in the day, but since I can remember, I've always been Flivluv. I've always utilized this beautiful philosophy and talked about all these things, you know. And all my life, I've always been the happy-go-lucky kid and always just being Flivluv with happiness and the rules of Flivluv. Flivluv is just the base idea, and then there's the rules of it, you know, like happiness, compassion, empathy, love, all the beautiful things, and more. All the things that you need in your life that are just way more, you know. I've used all those things to my advantage for Flivluv. And I've always been Flivluv. I've just now realized it. And what's so amazing is that now I have the opportunity to share this beautiful philosophy with you, people. Which is just a pleasure. And I appreciate it. And I love doing this. I love doing this. I love sharing my philosophy. And I love making an impact and really touching your soul. And really, when you watch my videos, when you watch these Flivluv podcasts, these shows, I really want you to feel better, and I really want you to come away with what Flivluv is all about. And I was just thinking how these shows can be ran, you know, as I've created 3 episodes already, and now this is, you know, our 4th one. I thought about the formula of how each episode should go and how each podcast show that we're doing should go. And we're going to talk about the problem later in the show, or the main idea. It could be a problem, or it could be a solution, or it could be a happy thing that we talk about. It doesn't have to always be negative, like, the world of now and the Flivluv philosophy, racism, the French and the Quebecois, then recently to the abusive nature of life. Those are topics we talk about. And we can, how I want to do these episodes is bring up, what I'm going to do is bring up Flivluv and the philosophy of it, and remind what Flivluv is to people like you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the issue or the topic or whatever we're talking about, which is the abusive nature of life, whatever. So from here on out, I remind you what Flivluv is for the beginning of these episodes. And then after, we'll talk about the topic, which then applies the ideas of Flivluv. So we go from talking about Flivluv, reminding a little bit, like in the first 5 minutes, what it is: love, compassion, empathy, loyalty, hardworking, high self-esteem, self-worth, ethics and morals, what Flivluv is all about, what we're here to celebrate for. That's the first 5 minutes of each episode. Then the rest of the episode, we'll talk about the problem itself, or the solution, or the issue, or whatever the topic is that we're discussing in the video title. That's how I want these episodes to go. So, people of the world, thank you for having me again, as always, and thank you, YouTube. I appreciate being very appreciative, and gratitude. That's a big one, is what Flivluv is all about too. Gratitude. Just being appreciative and thankful of your gifts and what you're able to do, and your abilities, and how you're able to better the world, and understand yourself better, and know yourself better, and love people better, and appreciate more things. Because when you practice gratitude in Flivluv, when you practice gratitude just by itself, you become a better human being, because you're now grateful for the things you have rather than the things you don't have. You shine light, and you shine light, and you acknowledge, and you self-aware yourself to the things that you do have, and the things that you're not currently enduring, and the things that you're currently not experiencing. Like, you're not dead. Nobody died. You're alive. You don't have cancer. Your loved ones are okay. You have your health. You have all these things at your disposal. You have a house. You have water, running water. You have a roof over your head. You have food. Those are luxury items, my friend, in a lot of the world. So when you practice gratitude, and when you see all these things come into play, you practice gratitude. When you see these things that you have, and that you're living, and that you see that you're living a great life and that you don't even realize it. Practice gratitude, and you'll realize how lucky you are to be alive and to be okay, which is more than what you can say, which is more than what other people can say, because people can't say that. People can't say that they're not in a good situation, but you can. So, beginning of these episodes, I want to talk about a little bit about Flivluv and what it's about, and then maybe one of the rules to it, like gratitude. And we remind each other these rules, and then we'll move into the topic. So that's how I want these episodes to go, and I can't wait. I couldn't be more excited about it. And I actually have a formula written about each show. So each show we go through, it's the Flivluv philosophy, a little bit about it, and then the rest of the topic. Practice gratitude. Be grateful. I've done it. I know it sucks sometimes when you don't have the things that you want and that you need to succeed and that you need to build this world into a better place and to build yourself up better and to build your self-esteem. I understand not being able to have the things that you desperately need. Even though you are okay, you still need more. Everyone needs more. We're humans. We utilize things and use things with expression, and we need more outlets to express ourselves rather than just having food and basic shelter and basic water and transportation and safety. We don't just want those things. We want to live, not just survive. I get that. I get that you have aspirations and goals. I get that you have wants and needs, and they're all important to you. I get that. And if you keep pushing and you keep moving forward in your life, you will have those things. Focus on those things. And that's a whole nother topic about how to be successful in business, and which I know a little bit about too. And that requires a lot of focus and dedication if you want those things to happen for yourself. Which you can do and learn about as well in these coming videos that we're coming out with. And from people that I look up to in business like Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone or any successful person that's really out there. Steve Jobs from the past, the late Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all these guys, they show you how to do it. And if you want to be successful, I highly, highly, highly recommend you look into successful people of the world to build your own charisma and your own success. And going back to it though, being grateful, having gratitude, even though you wanting more and wanting to be successful, which is great. You want more for yourself, and if you want more for yourself, that means that you want more for the world. Because when you achieve, others achieve. That's great to have high ambition, high standard, and high self-esteem of yourself and want more. But I will admit, because I'm like that. But I will admit as well, practicing gratitude and being grateful of what you do have helps your mental. If you practice and also be grateful for the things that you do have, you will go a lot farther in life, as I have. So be grateful, even though you want more, and you're a high achiever. That's amazing. But be grateful as well. Moving forward, let's get into today's topic. Real world consequences. Say that again. Real world consequences. Real world consequences are what happened to us in life. When we do certain things in certain ways, it's cause and effect. It's our thing that we do that produces the outcome of consequences. Real world consequences are real. And they either make us or break us. But it happens to us all. We must understand that we are all people of the world. We're not characters in a movie. We're not comic book action figure heroes. We're not elves on Santa's sleigh in the North Pole. Great movie, by the way, Polar Express. This is reality, and this is real life. This is a real world. And what we do in this world has real world consequences. And yes, we are all real people, my friends. What you do affects others. What you do affects yourself. Sitting on the couch all day affects yourself. Not being productive affects yourself and others. Or opposed to that, if you're working hard, it affects others. And if you're getting the taxes done or filling out a new business form or whatever you're doing that's productive, it affects others and yourself. Positive and negative. So you must remember these things. You must remember that we are all real people, and the things that we do in this life have real world consequences. And those real world consequences are very important. What you do in this life matters to people and matters to yourself. It matters to everyone. If you don't own up to the fact that you're a real human being, and if you don't do what needs to be done, you will affect other people with real world consequences. Opposite though. If you do what needs to be done and you acknowledge yourself as a real human being, your actions will result in real world consequences. The only difference between those two scenarios is that one scenario is positive and another scenario is negative. Which one do you want to be? Because, my friend, I'm here to tell you today that you're a real person and that your actions and what you do in life have real world consequences. You can't just pretend that you're not real. You cannot just say it's all over with and done with and I'm fine. And I'm not going to be successful and I can check out, or I can just sit all day on the couch watching Kick Buttowski on Disney Channel. I used to do that. But you can't do those things. Because all that stuff, and maybe that's not the best description for real world consequences. But you know what I'm getting at. You can't just rob a bank. You can't just cheat on your math test. You can't just destroy yourself. Because it affects others and there's real world consequences to that. And it's negative. We stay away from the negative here. We only do positive here. There's already, the way I look at it, the way the Flivluv philosophy looks at it, if you're worried about too much positivity entering the atmosphere in your real life and all that, my friends, do you realize how much negativity is in the world? We were just talking about this in the abusive nature of life. There's so much. So much. And they even say that even in our vast universe, in our infinite universe of cosmic intelligence and matter, that there's in fact more dark matter in the universe. 73%. Should be a symbol that represents, that shows you that there's a lot more in this world that's not getting done and that's negative than there is positive. Being that there's more dark matter in our universe today. There's a lot more people that are not respecting and being responsible in this world of ours. There's a lot more people that are bringing others down with them. And there's not enough people showing the way and leading and guiding and helping others. There's a lot more dark matter in the world. And why? Because of real world consequences, and that people aren't respecting real world consequences. People are not respecting that. People are not respecting themselves and acknowledging themselves as real human beings. I'm here to tell you today, you're a real human being. You have real feelings. You have real responsibilities. And what you do in this life has real world consequences. So be responsible and use this knowledge about yourself to your benefit. Become a better person. Always strive for the best. Going back to the Flivluv philosophy, how can you acknowledge these real world consequences? How can you deal with them? How can you make yourself a better person? And how can you have positive real world consequences? By practicing the Flivluv philosophy of gratitude, like we just talked about earlier, and being all you can be, being the best version of yourself, and acknowledging and saying to yourself that you're a real human being with real emotions, real beautiful ideas with your beautiful brain and body, and that you're going to try your best no matter what, and that you follow the Flivluv philosophy by practicing these ethical, moral values, and that you're an ethical, moral person. That's how you do it. That's how you get the job done. So just understand these things and understand real world consequences are in fact very, very real. And that each of us have the responsibility and have this power of being a human being. You were born. Gary V, the great Gary V Vaynerchuk, business entrepreneur, says it's such a slim chance that we're human. 400 trillion to 1. You're not even supposed to be here right now. Neither am I. None of us are. All of us are meant to be, and all of us have got here through mistakes. Nobody here is a mistake, and nobody here is meant to be. We're all here by the grace of God and chance. We're all here because of real world consequences and circumstances that have taken place. I'll also replace the word consequences with real world circumstances. Consequences are actions and cause and effect. What you do in this life has real world consequences. Consequences are effects that happen after cause. If you put your hand near a rabid dog, the consequence is that it's going to bite your hand. Those are real world consequences. Real world circumstances. Circumstances are similar to consequences. But they're more situational. They're more involved with the place, and circumstances are many things happening, while consequences focus on like one thing or a couple things happening. But I wanted to shed light today on consequences, though, because circumstances are similar to consequences. But circumstances involve more people and involve more what's going on. It's a bigger situation. When And that's very important today, because sometimes we worry about why we can't do more. We worry about we worry about these things that prevent us from doing what we need to do that's positive. The reason why you have bad real world consequences is that you think, because I do it too, everybody does it. We think roadblocks. We think we can't do it. No way in hell. I'm not that good of a person. My mother left me when I was 6. I don't have a chance. I have more important things to do rather than this very important thing that needs to get done. Those are circumstances. So those circumstances are situations that you're already in based on consequences, which is why you don't do more and you don't take action and you destroy yourself, which involve in negative real world consequences. I heard a wise man quote one time, this, though, as opposed to what we all just talked about there. Remember this. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. What does that say? What does that do for your real world consequences? What does that do for you as a real human being, that you can actually achieve more, and that you can, in your circumstances and what's going on with you and everything about you, what does that do for you? What does that teach us? What does that tell us? I'll tell you. It means that tough times don't last, tough people do. Tough people do. It means that things change. It means that your circumstances or whatever you're going through, or because your wife left you, or because the girl doesn't like you, or you're not successful, or your boyfriend is going crazy. Those are all tough times, my friends. Those are all tough times. But remember, tough times don't last. Tough people do. Use that quote. And that is what I say. That quote from that wise man that I admire so much. It's just amazing. I go into life every day thinking that tough times don't last, but tough people do. And that the real world consequences of our actions have an impact. And that I have an impact by going into this world and taking action and taking what I want and need for my family and doing the things necessary in order to build this world into a better place. And that I also remember, if that there are negative things coming into my psyche and in my mental and in my world and my universe, I just remember that things change and that tough times don't last. And that I remember that I'm a real human being who can change the course of my life for as long as I shall live, for as long as I'm here, and as long as I'm acknowledging myself that I'm a real human being who does things that have real world consequences. I have self-awareness of this. And if I remember these things, guess what? Guess what? I do a lot better in life. Remember, my friends, your actions have real world consequences. The things that you do in this life impact yourself and others. And that you're a real human being. Yes, you are. You're real. Wake up. This is not Dungeons and Dragons. Even though I'd love it to be. This is not fairy tales. This ain't the North Pole. This ain't RPG games back in the day from history class we used to play in the computers. This ain't Dragon Fable. We ain't trying to save the princess and save the dragon. And we ain't Goku. Although there's fact to that though as well. It's good to think about that you're a superhero and that I have such an imagination, and like I imagine like everyone is just like I just imagine like people are dressing up like at Comic-Con or something, and like we're just all in an adventure together, you know. I imagine that stuff too, and that's actually pretty good to have. If you have that imagination, that's great, because you want to think about these things that you're a superhero and that you're a white knight, or that you're a strong, able-bodied person. That's good to have. And that's part of Flivluv. That's part of the philosophy. To be more of yourself. Be all that you can be. And just pretend that there are no limits to your abilities. And that's part of it. So be that superhero. Be Goku. Be Superman. Be Iron Man, my favorite. Be these superheroes and save the world by building it into a better place, and by having positive, real world consequences for yourself and the world around you. This ain't preschool. This ain't this or that. This is the real world, my friends. And what you do and what we do has real world consequences. People are affected by what you do, yourself included, and others. And it seems as though we forget that. It seems as though that we're pretending. Like children. There's a lot we can learn from children as adults. Because you have a moral responsibility as a human being to have good, positive, real-world consequences by being an adult when you become 18. And by becoming an adult. Your responsibility is now to live in this real world. And of course, you can create your own world as part of this real world. But this real world has consequences to it, to your actions. because you're a real human being participating in life that you were born in, whether you asked to be in life or not. And going back, it seems as though we're forgetting about the consequences to our actions, about cause and effect, about the things that we say and do to others and do for ourselves impact people and affect people in very positive ways or in very negative ways. And I'm not asking you to change overnight. I'm not here to tell you that you've been screwing up. I'm just here to say just to have a little bit more acknowledgement and to know this. To know this in your brain, in your body, in your psyche, in your mind. That this world is tough. And that you, my friend, are a player in the world. And that if you remember that you can affect people positively and negatively, that's the most important thing you can do in this life. This life is oh so complicated, yet oh so simple. Or, this life is oh so complicated, but oh very simple. That sounds better. That's a good quote, by the way. This life is oh so complicated, but oh very simple. Because if you ever think about all the things that you need in life that prevent you from doing things positively and negatively, and if you ever think about these things, you know, just remember that life is very complicated but very simple as well. If you can find a way to look at all these things in life that you have to pay attention to, like your schooling or whatever you're going through in your life, or your consequences that you're dealing with and the circumstances that you're dealing with. And that it's tough for you to handle all these things. You can do it in a very simple way. You can understand all of them simply with Flivluv. And part of Flivluv is recognizing that you're a real human being with real world consequences to your actions. And you can affect people. And it's good to remind that of ourselves. Even if we forget, or even if we remember. It's a good reminder that we're all real human beings. That's pretty much the whole thing. And then there's all of these many rules that I talk about in Flivluv, that the Flivluv philosophy has, like compassion, empathy, gratitude, self-respect, self-love, love, care, and all the other rules that are great, that being all you can be. It all goes back to our origin of who we are and the human race. It goes back to those real world consequences of our actions. It goes back to understanding that we are real human beings in this world with real feelings, emotions that need to be cared for, need to be dealt with. And it's very difficult to deal with them. I understand. Because there's so much going on in the world, and that it's hard to keep track of all of it. But if we just remember that we're all real, and this ain't a Shakespearean play that we're all in, this is the real dance. It'll be a whole lot better. Just remember that you have real responsibilities. You contribute to the world for real. You take real action that has real world consequences. So just do it. Just do yourself and your life the best way you can. Period. Take care, my friends. Until next time.